Hello everyone, welcome to week 3 of New South Wales Bred, our show where we look at the New South Wales Breeders Challenge Series, which is happening right across the state, and we're coming off an absolute rip snorter of a week of racing. We had some fantastic heats, and with that in mind, we've got some great guests lined up for you again. As always, Michael Dumassey, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Paul.
Lovely to have you again, Amanda Rando.
Great to be back again.
And the man of the moment, and we were a good luck charm for this man last week by having his driver on board, the two Penrith winners, Jared Alchin. Welcome.
Welcome. How are you all going?
Mate, it's fantastic to have you. What a week you have had, hey? We're gonna break down those races, but you must be on cloud nine with how the week panned out for you as far as the Breeders' Challenge Series went.
Yeah, we had a great week all around. It's always good to win them heats there, so you don't have to worry about the second round, get them out of the road. So them two now, they won't race again. They probably have a trial at Menangle here in next Wednesday, and then they'll go through to the semi-final after that.
Amanda, broadly speaking, it was a pretty good week of Breeders' Challenge racing, wasn't it? It was as good as it gets.
It certainly was. There's definitely a few upsets along the way as well. So I'm sure we'll touch on those a bit later, but definitely interesting racing with these young horses.
Well, let's talk about some of those upsets, and we'll go to Tamworth first. Michael Dumassey, you are the card-holding #1 ticket holder for Chappie Street North, and the punters could not get enough of Chappie Street North, and didn't quite go to plan, did it?
Yeah, never went to plan, Paul. He fired up a little bit in the first take of the score up. There was a false start that he caused, and he actually galloped in that first take, and things didn't go right from there for Mitch Chappell. He did really fire up going around and leading into that second take of the race. And when he did get to the front, I think he had nothing left when it come to the actual race. He looked to be a little bit overexerted, and maybe he'd run his race before it had even started. So that's a bit of bad luck for the Chappie Street North crew. It's very hard to see a $1.10 favourite go down, but he'll bounce back. I think he'll go to that Newcastle heat, and he'll be a lot better for that.
Amanda, I was watching the market as they were scoring up, and we saw, and it was $1 Chappie Street North, and then blew out to $1.10 with that gallop in the score up. Is that a sign where I think people started to sense that maybe not everything was right with Chappie Street North?
Yes, I think so. It is very hard for these young horses, and any sign like that is enough to put a punter off.
Jared, did you have a look at that race? Obviously everyone was fairly bullish about Chappie Street North, but just never looked comfortable in the running.
No, he didn't. But the winner's a very nice horse. Like he's proven it before. He won the consolation at Bathurst and went very good. And then, it wasn't a surprise to me to see him win. That's for sure.
Jared, we've done everything but mention the winner's name. Actually, Skyfall Benchmark. What do you like about that one?
I think he's got it all. Like he's beaten the older horses at a couple of starts that he's had at Newcastle. He's proved he can do it tough. I think he's a very underestimated horse, to tell you the truth. I actually thought he could win that race. I couldn't believe the price of him, to tell you the truth. He'd been there and he'd done it, where Chappie Street North was only on the way up. It was no surprise to me to see him win.
Amanda, I don't think it was a surprise to you either, because you did mention the two Clayton Harmey horses last week in last week's show.
Yeah, I did. And they finished 1-2. And Skyfall Benchmark, he's bred to be anything. His mum is a full sister to Art Major and a half sister to Perfect Art. So he's extremely well bred, and he's still a colt, so he could have breeding prospects down the line. It was a great drive by Michael Formosa. He put the horse outside the leader and just dictated turns from there. They ran a really quick third quarter, I think 28-2, and that was enough to seal the deal. But yeah, he was very impressive.
Michael Dumassey, you haven't put down the pom-poms and ripped down the Chappie Street North posters off your bedroom wall yet, just have you?
Nah, not just yet, Paul. I think he can bounce back. He's going to take a little bit manners-wise, I think, to get to where he needs to be. But I still think he's a serious horse, and moving forward, I think he'll still be a contender in this series.
Well, I actually think the third horse is worth mentioning in that race as well. I reckon it went really good too, and it was trained by the Chappells, and he beat the other one home. But I think don't underestimate it in the next round of heats. It made up a lot of ground and come wide and hit the line really good.
Well, Jared, on that, have you got your eye on these horses coming out of the regions and think, we could have a genuine contender anywhere across the state in this series that you've got to be wary of?
Yeah, definitely. I watch all the heats, and we've got a fair few of our own in it, so you've got to be over them. And I like the run of the third horse there. I think it'll take a lot of merit out of that run, how it hit the line, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it bob up in a heat.
Well, look, Michael Dumassey, if Chappie Street North was considered a moral, I don't know what we call flare-up because and it is one that absolutely did deliver on it. We spoke about it at length in last week's show, and it didn't disappoint, did it?
She was quite good, flare-up, Paul, leading from gate number 1. Most expected that to happen. And then with Better a Girl coming out, it probably made the assignment a little bit easier on flare-up. Team Elder have been quite bullish about her. They think she's a top-rate filly, and off that performance at Tamworth, she'll head into the semi-finals, and barring a bit of bad luck, she'll be thereabouts.
Amanda, how good is flare-up? Because she just kept pulling away there. 13 metres the margin.
Yeah, she did it very easily, and impressive considering it was her first look at that track as well. So a bit of a step up for her there. She's another one that's so well bred. Her mum is a sister to Sunshine Beach. So she definitely has the breeding on the board, and now the runs on the board too, 4 wins and 5 starts. So, yeah, she's a major contender.
Jared, I'd imagine if you got your eye on what's happening in the regions, flare-up is definitely one that you've penciled into the black book.
Yeah, it just looks a very professional little filly, jumps and runs. And, I think any race that it puts itself into, it's going to be thereabouts. Mystical Jazz in that race, it was another eye catcher. It got home really good as well to run third. And it was trained by the Elders who won the race. So, I think apart from the winners, in both heats, there was a couple of horses back in the field that ran on really good.
Mm.
Hey, we've only got room for 4 people on this show, but I notice you've got a fifth there. Not necessarily a person. Who have you got next to you there?
That's actually my ultimate Ronnie. He's been a pest, actually.
He wants the limelight.
Yeah, he wants the limelight.
Well, that's very timely because my ultimate Ronnie was really good there for you the other night at Penrith.
Yeah, he was. He's bit of an underrated horse. Like, I've always thought that he will get better as he gets older because he's been a late mature and he had a few soundness issues early on in his career, and now he's come back and he's going really good. He's he's just getting better and better. He probably just lacks a bit of the high speed of a couple of the other ones, but what he lacks in speed he makes up in strength. So in the semi-finals and the final, if they go mad, one thing about him is he'll be coming on. Like, he's very strong. And I think next year, when he gets up in distance to the Derby distances, that's when you'll probably see the best of him. But it was no surprise for us to see him win, that's for sure. But did make it a lot better when the favourite galloped and he was able to roll to the front.
Yeah, Michael, what do we make of that with Smoltese? Because the speed battle, they really clapped it on there at the top, and obviously Smoltese galloped. What do we make of that?
He just didn't handle the conditions at all, Smoltese. He was all over the shop from the time they left the gate. He did go quite well in a trial leading into that around the Penrith track, but there's just so much that can go wrong on race night, and he just didn't want to play the game for Brian Portelli and crew there. But he'll still be a player. I'll get back to Menangle for that heat. He's going to have to run into Byron, but he'll still be thereabouts.
Amanda, what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, when they go, they went 154.6, so that's absolutely low-level flying around Penrith. And when they're going that hard, especially into that first turn, it puts Maltese off, and then that he had to be in his bonnet for the rest of the race, unfortunately. But the winner, Jared, he was fantastic. You told me in an interview last week that Cameron Hart had the pick of the drives on all your horses and he picked him. So that says a lot. And also I noticed you changed a bit of gear on him, and since you've done that, he's won his last 2 starts. So I think there's more to come of that horse too, Jared.
Yeah, he's only going to keep improving. He's a big, solid colt. He's fairly heavy. So I think he's just going to get better as the series goes on. And as I said, it was no surprise to us. And I actually told Cameron he might have been better off sticking to Skeeter in that race because I thought he had the better draw, but he was adamant that he wanted to drive Ronnie, and it turned out he was right and I was wrong.
What do we make of Skeeter's performance, Jared? I know Michael spoke really highly of Skeeter last week in the show.
Yeah, I was wrapped with him. He had no luck when Smoltese galloped there. He got buried back on the fence and never saw daylight for the whole race. I think he got out with about 100 metres to go. So I think he's definitely one to follow in the heats at Menangle. Hopefully they have 2 heats and he misses Byron, because if he has to race Byron, he might be in a bit of strife. But if he can get in the other heat, I think he's a big hope.
What's the origin of Ronnie's name?
2 reasons, actually. Ronnie Littler, he bred him. So that was the original thought. We'll name him after the breeder. And then it was just timely that the Tumby Park crew, Scott Whitten, his father's name's Ronnie as well. So it's sort of 2 reasons behind the name. That was the reason behind My Ultimate Ronnie, why we called him that in the end. But his stable name to start with was through the breeder, Ronnie Littler. But since then, he's Ronnie Whitten has since passed. So every time that this horse goes around, I'm sure old Ronnie's looking down and giving him wings. And hopefully, if Byron can't win the final, hopefully it's him.
Well, before we move on out of that category, My Ultimate Ronnie, how far can he go?
I think you'll see the best of him next year. He's a bit behind Byron at the present, but to go 154 around there is bloody low flying, you know. So I think if the harder they go here, the better he'll go. He'll probably need a couple of them to get in a speed burn early and take the petrol out of a couple of the others for him to be a hope. But if that does happen, one thing's for sure, he'll be running on.
Michael Dumassey, you're responsible for choosing out drive of the week each week in the final quarter. And for a man who's got an eye on what driving looks like, you had to have been impressed with what Cameron Hart produced on Madrid in the fillies race.
Well, I'm impressed by Cameron Hart every time he goes out. He's just slowly becoming one of the best drivers in Australia, Cameron. He's working his way through the ranks, and his drive on Madrid, he summed it up really well. There was a leader in Let's Party Baby, and she didn't get it all her own way. They still went fairly quick time in 156.3, and Cam had to make a lightning move. He summed it up at the bell quite well, went when he had to, when she had enough in reserve going down to the line, Madrid, to beat them and get her back onto that Menangle track, and I think she'll be even better. But, yeah, Cam, he summed that up perfectly, as he did with My Ultimate Ronnie when things didn't go right early and Plan B had to come to fruition. He took off and went to the lead there also. So Cam really summed both of those races up well, and I really think Madrid becomes the one to beat in the final now.
Amanda, did the draw just amplify this performance even more?
Yeah, definitely. And also the exchange of ownership just 24 hours before the race. So I'm sure Jared had felt a bit of pressure there. But, yeah, this filly, she was purchased just before that heat by a young guy called Travis O'Grady for, from what I've heard, a large sum. So it's great to see Travis get that win straight out of the way. But, yeah, she was very impressive. And there's some good runs out of that heat, I thought. I thought Let's Party Baby was impressive. She's still a maiden, and she's been just behind the better fillies throughout her career. And also Miss X, who ran third. She ran a pretty slick last half to finish where she did. So she's one of the ones we should be keeping an eye on as well, outside of Madrid, heading into the last round of heats.
Yeah, Michael, on Miss X, I know we talked about Miss X in last week's show, but if you go back and watch the tape of that run, zigzag, found a way where there was no way, and absolutely made it home. I think Connections would be really, really pleased with how that horse is tracking.
That they would be wrapped. She was a really good run. It is very hard to make up that ground that she did on the 800-metre circuit, and she done well to get as close as she did. As you said, she had to zigzag through a little bit of traffic and was really steaming home at the end. I actually had my eyes on Madrid and the leader, Let's Party Baby, and then going back and watching the replay, it was full of merit, the run of Miss X.
Jared, did the draw concern you going into it? And obviously it would have impacted on the tactics, but did it play out how you guys kind of mud mapped it going into the race?
No, it didn't. Nothing planned out how we thought. I had Miss X in the death actually, and putting the pressure on because she's fairly tough filly, and I thought that as soon as they put the brakes on, that Jimmy Douglas would amble around to the death, and that would probably make it up for us. When he popped down to the fence, I was a bit worried then. And I think that gave more credit to my filly's win because she had to do it on her own when there wasn't a lot of speed up top. And like when I looked up the sectionals there the next day, I think my filly went 56.06 a half or something, 3 wide, no cover. Like pretty good effort by a 2-year-old filly, I thought, and on a track that doesn't really suit. So I think she'll get back to Menangle now, and her gate speed's her asset. Like she could probably cross them from any barrier. So, but she doesn't have to lead, as she proved the other night. She's not a one-trick pony. I always knew she had, always knew she had speed, but I just didn't know whether how much depth she had. But she proved the other night that she can stay and she's got speed. So I think going forward, she's gonna be a major player.
So which one of those stables behind you have you got all that cash packed up in from the sale 24 hours beforehand that Amanda alluded to?
Yeah, it was a good week actually. So, but you don't rest on your laurels, like they're only heats. So although they're good, the main target's in a month's time.
And what is that? A performance like that showed so much ticker, but did it so impressively. Had a lot of jaws dropping on the base of that performance. What does that do then going through the series? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of hype about Madrid and her credentials going through the series. What does that mean for you guys as the connections and the people responsible for getting her in the best shape?
Well, it's sort of much more pressure now. We just go through the motions. She's fit and healthy, and we'll just give her a trial here next Wednesday, just a real quiet trial, and that'll just top her off nicely for the semi-final the following 10 days. Like she doesn't cop a lot of work. She's not a big, heavy filly. She's fairly racy, so she doesn't cop a lot of work. So we'll just go that trial then 10 days later into the semi-final. So she'll be fine.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what it might do is it might dilute a little bit of the hype around the other star of your stable, My Ultimate Byron, and we are going to see My Ultimate Byron go around on Menangle in this series, aren't we, on Tuesday? Yeah,
he'll go around on Tuesday. It was just bad draw the other night, and as it turned out, it was the right move after Maltese galloped. My horse can get a bit aggressive, and I'm tipping he would have gone straight over the top of him if he was in that race. So pulled the right rein there, not starting, and he'll go back to Menangle. And he's spot on. Cameron come out and drove him Saturday morning, and we give him a hit out. And I actually think he's gone to another level since his last start. So he's getting fitter and fitter, and I think he's pretty special.
Michael Dumassey, it must be like Christmas for you knowing that My Ultimate Byron's about to have a start in this series.
Definitely, Paul. Just a quick question for Jared. I know you've been around with a lot of nice 2-year-old horses over the years. Where do you rate My Ultimate Byron in Madrid? Just in general, when it comes to the horses that you've dealt with along the line, such as some of the horses that you've had in your camp from being around Ray Walker and blokes like David Kennedy, where are these two at compared to a couple of others?
I think they're right up there with him. I think Byron definitely is right up there with him. Like at the moment, it's hard for me because when I work him, he doesn't give me the feel of a real good horse. We don't work him hard. He's not much of a track worker. But since his last start, he's actually working a lot better. And the other day when Cameron come out and drove him and we give him a hit out, it sort of give you goosebumps, sort of. When we worked him and give him a hit out, because as I said, we don't generally work him hard, but we put a race bike on him and give him a roll up the other day, and it was pretty exciting. So, but like Madrid, she's got to keep stepping up, but I think she's heading the right way. Like I won the Oaks on Dave Kennedy's filly, and actually probably fairly similar sorts of fillies actually to her. So if she can keep stepping up, well, next year, you know, she might head towards the Oaks as well. But these fillies have got to keep stepping up, you know, like they're all well and good being nice 2-year-olds, but you just hope they come back at 3 as well.
Amanda, it really does feel like we've got a rock star in our hands with my ultimate Byron, doesn't it? I'll certainly be tuning in. I'm really looking forward to seeing Byron go around on Tuesday.
Yes, so am I. I was, really looking forward to seeing him go around at Penrith. And then when I saw him scratched, I had a shock and I was straight on the phone to Jared just to make sure the horse was okay. So it's great to know he's all right. Jared, just another question for you. What kind of time did you run in that fast workout the other day?
The hats are out fairly wide. So we put the race bike on him and we planned on running him up a quick mile, but the hats were out fairly wide and the track was fairly hard. So we sort of just kept him to 1.5 miles and just sort of let him dash up the last half. And like he dashed up the last half in, I think he went 54 flat, 26. So, and Cameron said he was just getting wound up on the line. So he brushed up a nice half and a nice quarter and had a good blowout. So, he's ready to go. He won't take a lot of work from now till next Tuesday.
Well, Paul, there you go. That was very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as I said, I think we've got a rock star in our hands. Look, there's some other good ones that you'll probably run into on Tuesday, and maybe some that perhaps have come through that Penrith meeting and are still going to try and qualify. Names like Mahomes, Maltese. What do some of these horses represent for you in your stable?
Yeah, like they're all really nice horses. Maltese, and I haven't spoke to anyone. I just looked up the results and see he was retired from the trial. So hope everything's all right with him. But Mahomes, he's a very fast horse. We've raced him before, so he's going to be right thereabouts. And I've got a lot of time for one of Grant Dixon's horses that's coming down, Leap to Fame. He was ultra impressive winning at Albion Park on Saturday night. So I think I really think that Leap to Fame is probably going to be the one to beat for Byron. But one thing about Byron, he's going to be in front with his gate speed. So it's just going to be where the others get to.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Leap to Fame also come down from Queensland. As Jared did mention, he's an excitement machine. Grant Dixon always having a nice 2-year-old in the stable, so it'd be great to see him get down. And Jared, we can't let you get away without asking the question about Mr. Ray. Your father-in-law, Ray Walker, is the trainer, mate. Must be a little bit of family banter going on there. I actually ran into Ray at Wagga last night, and he said that Mr. Ray is ready to go for the semi-final. So it must be good to have your horse going so well. But then on the other side of the knife, the father-in-law having probably, if not the second best, the equal best 2-year-old in New South Wales at the moment.
Yeah, no, it's good to see Ray with another good one. And I think when they get in the same race, hopefully it's not until the final. Hopefully they can stay apart for the semi-final, and if they both get to go around in the final, it'll make for an exciting race, that's for sure.
What do you make Captain's Queen?
Yeah, she's definitely the filly to beat in the fillies division. She's proven it. She's won a Group 1. She's got good manners, and yeah, in my opinion, she's definitely the one to beat.
Okay. Look, we've got racing at Bathurst as well during the week. We've got a big week of Breeders' Challenge next week, actually. It really does warm up. Amanda, that it's fantastic that we can move this series across different tracks. Menangle, Bathurst, we're going to see Newcastle, and we're going to see Wagga all in the same week.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, getting out to all the different regions and giving all the connections the best possible chance of getting, into those Group 1 finals on the big Breeders' Challenge finals day. So that's what this series is all about, and it's, been well supported ever since, and it's just great to see some of this horse flesh we're getting through. They're just, A, extremely well bred, and B, they've just got all this ability at such young ages. So it's very exciting racing.
Michael, apart from the obvious, what are we most looking forward to next week?
Just looking forward to a couple of these clashes coming up with the Bathurst heat, there was a couple of horses that went around at Parks in those 2-year-old fillies and colts and geldings heats. And with the way that the races were run, probably never got into the race. Perfect As I Am is one horse from the Amanda Turnbull camp in the fillies, and also a horse by the name of All Stars Frankie, who has won a feature race at Tabcorp Park, Menangle, as a 2-year-old. He'll get his chance at the in the Bathurst heat. And then you've got the heats down in Wagga, horses like Armour Rolling Stone, Excellente, and another horse by the name of You Can Roll, who runs second to Mr. Ray. He'll go around in the 2-year-old colts and geldings at Wagga. And in the fillies, Macarena Maddie, she's a Caribbean, who was a good winner at Wagga on Tuesday night, and Lulu May, who runs second to Captain's Queen in her heat at Young. So there's plenty to look forward to in the heats going forward. And, of course, Chappie Street North heading back to Newcastle. He'll have a couple of others. There's St. Crusader, who was a scratching at Tamworth out of the 2-year-old heat there, and maybe Better a Girl if she gets her chance in the 2-year-old fillies heat up at Newcastle. So there's still plenty to look forward to heading into these next few days and weeks ahead with the 2-year-old fillies and also the 2-year-old colts right throughout New South Wales.
Jared, are you like sort of Wayne Bennett, the football coach, and you're standing there and you're keeping an eye on what the other teams are doing and the other contenders when all this plays out?
As I said before, yeah, we're always watching the other races, and there's some nice ones to go around. I think in that Wagga heat, I see Beach Memories is in to go this week at Wagga, so my understanding would be she's probably just having a look at the track for the following week. She's another filly I've got a lot of time for. I think she's going to be a major player for David Moran. And in the colts, apart from the ones that you've spoke about, Ray Walker's actually got another nice one called Interlock Dreaming. I think he's a nice horse. He's won his last couple. And one of Brad Hewitt's, it was a bit unlucky in the young heat. It made a break and behind Mr. Ray and ran some very quick sectionals. The last 400 metres there, I think it was very unlucky in that race. So, yeah, I think there are a couple of the ones I'll be looking out for at Wagga.
Oh, I think it speaks volumes for the depth of this series and the quality that's all over the state. And as you said before, Amanda, that it's fantastic breeding, but it's pure ability that's coming to the surface. And to be able to showcase that in this format across sort of a 6-week to 2-month period and ultimately lead up to a big grand finale at Menangle, what a concept we've got in our hands. $1 million event, the Breeders' Challenge.
Yeah, no, it is. It's great, and it's great to see all that prize money thrown into it. And even, we've had the heats in the regional track so far and whatnot, and they're running the slick times. And then you're going to bring these horses to Menangle where they can go even faster again. So, yeah, the best is yet to come.
And restrictions appear to be easing, so we might even be able to get some people there trackside, which would be fantastic. Jared, so good to have you on the show. So timely, and obviously congratulations on the week that you've just had. Let's hope that you've got some really good opportunities ahead with this outstanding fleet of young colts and fillies that you've got in your hands.
Yeah, thank you. It's amazing to have a bunch like we've got this year, so hopefully we can just keep them fit and healthy and punch them through to the Breeders' Challenge, and then hopefully we'll pick which ones we take down to the Breeders' Crown, but most of them are paid up for the Breeders' Crown, so we'll just see how we get through the Breeders' Challenge and then, onto the Breeders' Crown.
Thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it. Best of luck particularly with My Ultimate Byron. You're going to bring a lot of joy to a lot of people out there who follow racing, I think, with him. And, let's hope he runs well. Let's hope he can put on the show that we all expect, because we know he's a superstar in the making if he's not one already. So good luck with My Ultimate Byron. Hope it goes well on Tuesday. And Michael Dumassey, thanks for joining us again. Amanda Rando, thank you for your time. To everyone out there watching, thank you for tuning in to episode 3 of New South Wales Bred. A lot of fun putting the show together. We'll have another great guest for you next week. But keep an eye out on all those races. As we said, Menangle, Bathurst, Wagga and Newcastle next week. Big week of New South Wales Breeders' Challenge Series ahead. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.